Hello and welcome to the Neal and Amie podcast. This series of episodes is called Wayfinder.
Why? Because this world, the people in it and the pressures of it can jack you up and they can cause you to lose your way. Next thing you know, you're overweight, unmotivated, frustrated with the relationships around you. Your life shattered in pieces and you're watching episodes of Dr. Phil and Jerry Springer just to feel normal again.
This show is about helping people find joy in the middle of challenges because life is too short to live miserable.
Hello and welcome to episode number 17 with Neal and Amie.
Preston, that's a 1-7, episode 17.
And it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Everywhere you go.
She's in her can outfit too, everybody. She was dancing on the table just a minute ago.
You should have seen my jingle balls.
Oh, my goodness. Jingle balls?
I meant bells.
Yeah. I've never seen your jingle balls, and I'm so good with that. That'd have been a big surprise, honestly.
That would have.
Yeah. So, we're right smack dab in the middle of this Pan-DAMN-ick. And it's feeling a little crazy these days.
Yeah, it actually is. If you would have asked me a year ago, if I would have thought that in such a short amount of time, things would be completely out of our hands, like being able to open our business, being able to leave your home.
Yeah, go into a store without a mask.
Yeah, I would have laughed in your face and told you were an idiot. Seriously.
Which I've heard that a number of different times from you in the past. Like, oh, you're an idiot. But you're right. It's like this is not, it was obviously could have never really been expected. Mm-mm. And then all of a sudden, boom, you're smack dab in the middle of something that is totally crazy. And right now, it is, depending on when you're listening to this recording, just to give you a little date check for us, we just left Thanksgiving, the holiday Thanksgiving in 2020, and we are now moving into December. In fact, the day of this recording is December 5th. And what was just enforced upon California businesses is, at least the businesses that we are primarily doing business as, is that we are supposed to close our doors and only go to takeout options, meaning in our restaurant business, we're only allowed to sell takeout food, which just does not work to pay the bills.
Absolutely. And in our little tiny rural community, takeout isn't something that people spend money on. If they're going to pay to have dinner, they want to actually go in and enjoy a nice dinner.
Yes.
So it's not like in the city when you get takeout and have it delivered. So we are having to
navigate
through challenges that are out of our hands. You know, there's something interesting about when something is completely taken out of your hands. I don't know if you feel the same way, Neal, but sometimes when it's out of your hands, there's a little bit more of a comfort to it because you know that there's no like second guessing, like, well, maybe we should have, maybe we could, maybe we can, all these things running through your mind. And I think for me, it really, how do I want to say this? With decision-making kind of out of your hands, it leaves you in a vulnerable like state of being. But for some reason or another, I don't know why, if it's just how I'm made up, you know, as a person, it seems like it's easier to trust like our creator in those times because
your options are slimmed down and limited.
Yeah, it's slim and limited, and you're kind of your own self is kind of taken out of the equation, and you're like, okay,
right.
So what should we do?
Right. Yes. I mean, honestly, so no matter what side of the fence you fall on as a listener person, you could be one who's like, mask up and, close the businesses down and clamp down and in total agreement with the way that the government is handling things, or you could be in absolute disagreement. Either way, we're still put in a position where we've got to deal with what is in many ways being enforced upon us. And that, depending on which side of the street you land, it brings a lot of challenge. It brings a lot of damn.
Yeah, like my little brother says, don't bring your shit on my porch.
Yeah, but it's landed there.
It's there.
It has landed there. And now we each need to discover what it is that we're supposed to be doing in these moments to move into a holiday season. And there are a number of people that we've just even talked to in the last couple of days that are just nervous, freaking out. The holidays are supposed to be merry. They're supposed to be fun. They're supposed to, have joy and hopefully, gifts and things of that nature involved with them. And some of those things require money, and some people are being, totally clamped on funds. And so that puts these restrictions that's not just, hey, don't leave your house, stay inside for the next X amount of weeks, but it also is, well, how am I supposed to go Christmas shopping? And how am I supposed to, all the normal things that we have grown so accustomed to are being stripped from us. And that is why this episode is called Pan-DAMN-ick. It's like, what in the world? Damn. Like, this is crazy. This is wild. But as Amy was saying, it can lead us to a brand new pathway of trust at a much deeper level.
I don't know why, but I'm like getting this urge to go CQ, CQ, CQ.
I have no idea what that is.
Oh, well, when I got my ham radio license.
Yes.
When I was little.
Okay, first of all, number one.
What?
90%, maybe 95% of people that are listening to this do not know what a ham radio is. They were thinking it was some little toy radio that maybe was in the shape of a ham. And that is not the case at all. So I think before you even go down the road of the story, you should probably CQ and tell us what ham radio even is.
I'll just give you a really quick explanation. Most everyone knows what a CB radio is.
No.
Okay.
It's the one where the truckers are driving down the road and they're like,
there's
hey.
these things that have a speaker and a microphone connected, and they work through traveling through frequencies, radio frequencies.
Okay.
Just like AM or FM radio has frequencies, a ham radio has frequencies, a CB radio has frequencies. Ham radio is the frequencies that you have to have a license, like basically a permit to operate on those frequencies.
Yes.
They're not open up to the public.
Okay.
So you have to take tests.
Uh-huh.
And
your dad was a ham fanatic, and he still is.
Well, he was never really a ham fanatic. My dad's just always into
staying in good communication.
Yeah. Communicate, like he wants to know that he can communicate with his family. If, he was a Bakersfield City firefighter, retired from there. And so our house was an hour away from the city. And this is way before cell phones ever were around. And he didn't like the fact that, like, if my mom, he would be at work for days on end sometimes, or he'd be out to a wildfire or wherever. Or even like a disaster, like he would get sent.
He was Hurricane Katrina back in the day. Things like
we had cell phones at Katrina, but before that, it was like the San Francisco earthquake, the Los Angeles earthquake. There's different disasters going on, and you didn't have cell phones back then.
Right.
So my dad's like, forget this crap. We are not gonna be the ones that can't get a hold of each other.
Right.
So he spent a lot of money and time, and he got his ham radio license, and then he built repeaters, which he did professionally for Bakersfield City too. But the whole point is that he wanted to be able to communicate with us. So if my mom was driving around town, when we had our own ham radio, we could call my dad and get a hold of him immediately.
Without a cell phone?
Without a cell phone.
And how old were you?
Well, I turned 9 when I passed my Morse code test. And my dad had his license like maybe a year before me.
Okay.
So my dad got his license first, then I got my license. So I was the one operating the radio in the car. I had it before my mom had hers.
Yeah, and when I came into the family, you guys were using those handles, and like it was common that you were just talking to each other on these radios.
Yeah, it would be like KD6 WPJ. This is KD6 ZOS. And then you just wait, and then you'd have to be listening for your call to come through, but our brains are smart. You know if a friend or a family member is voices on a radio. It's not like you need like the special jingle to wake you up to hear that. So anyways, I can't remember why we were talking about that.
CQ.
Oh, yeah. So this one time we got to send messages all over the world. But for whatever reason, I don't know. I was little. I was probably like 10 years old. And there were certain days of the year where we would do these like tests in case there was like a national disaster. Mm-hmm. And we would have these fake issues going on like all over the world. And then we each took a certain, not just my family, but like the ham radio world. And then we would have to deliver information. So it was like, so-and-so in Florida had to contact us here in California to get information to so-and-so, and then we're going to get that information to Europe. Like, it didn't matter where it was. But when you were using these really large radios that traveled over the seas, we would say CQ, 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 because it was kind of like an emergency, like, I'm getting this information out here. Hello, can you hear me?
Right.
And it just seems like right now in this day and age, it's like, that's pretty much all I want to do.
Yeah.
CQ, CQ, CQ. Like, what the heck is going on?
Like,
who's out there and what is really happening?
Yeah, what is happening out there? Hello. Gosh, I know. It's, you know, and what can happen, and it does happen very frequently. In fact, if you look, and recently I've done a few little studies, research studies on mental health and well-being since the coronavirus pandemic, COVID-19 outbreak. And what you see really like in huge numbers is the increase in depression. Mm-hmm. You see the increase in suicides. Mm-hmm. You
spousal abuse.
Domestic violence, because everybody's cooped up in the house and they're freaking out, mm-hmm. you know, because this isn't normal. Normally we can run away from each other mm-hmm. and find something else to do. And it's just things are challenging. The other thing is alcoholism and drug abuse is drastically mm-hmm. increased as well. And all of those factors kind of create a very combustible environment mm-hmm. where, like, if anybody were just to strike a match, things could quickly become volatile. Mm-hmm. And now we're going into the holiday season. And as we're entering into it, it's, you know, there's big changes that are happening. But as you were saying, Aim, I think that you were spot on, that there is, with every single one of these clampdowns or any time in life we run into a circumstance that just seems like, what the heck are we supposed to do? Damn. Mm-hmm. There's an opportunity to be found in that. Yes. It's the silver lining, if you want to call it that. But there's definitely an opportunity right now to experience life in a new way. Mm-hmm. And that is totally possible. So I don't just want to sit here throughout this entire Pan-DAMN-ick show and talk like the negative side of it. But the reality is that hard things force us into new ways, mm-hmm. essentially.
Absolutely. Gosh, man, I wish hard things are inevitable. Mm-hmm. But there's always that, people, you know, we make light of it and we kind of joke around about like, oh, well, that's the the glass half empty, or that's the glass. Are you looking at things the glass half full or the glass half empty? You know, but in reality, yeah, it sucks because it feels like we're going backwards. It feels like we're being forced to go backwards in so many areas of our life. Yet, when we look back at history, like what our forefathers have had to go through to get us where we are here now, we're not that bright if we think that we aren't going to have to be like our forefathers and push through times like this as well. It's
right.
not like, oh, they did all the hard work, so we get all the fun work.
Right.
You do all the disciplines while I do all the fun, you know, I'm going to do the decorating while you unload the dishwasher.
Well, that sounds like our life, honestly.
That's why I had to use it as a real example for you. But I mean, in all reality, there's an opportunity right in front of us right now.
There is.
Because, yeah, we're being told what to do, and yeah, we're all of this stuff, but there is a peace in the air. I can feel it. Because I believe, you believe, that our Creator hasn't carried us this far to abandon us. It's not like some sick joke. He's like, haha, I got you where I want you. Adios, mother effers. You know, it's not like that. It's like, oh, okay, this is getting a little tight. This is getting a little uncomfortable. Okay, well, what do we do when it's tight and uncomfortable? Well, we take our turtleneck off. Okay, feeling a little better. I can breathe. Okay, next step. What do we do now? You know, it's just like one step at a time. I think we get way ahead of ourselves, and I think that when things are going good, we get so far down the road of what could be and what will be and all of that. And it's all hypothetical, but we think it's like an actual reality in our head. And then stuff like this pops up and it's like, oh, we're so far behind. Well, I don't know. Were you? Because was all that really happening, or were you just living like it was happening? Mm-hmm. Reality check.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what we do have. What do we have? For everybody, that's different. Some people can be grateful that they didn't lose their retirement through this pandemic. Mm-hmm. Other people have. Right. So, I mean, there's that. Then there's, okay, well, you know, I'm grateful that I don't have COVID and I'm not dying in the hospital. Yeah. Other people are losing family members right now for that. Okay. So it's like, what are we going to do as humans to find gratefulness in our essence, in our being, in our minds, through something that is tragic all the way around? No matter how you shake it, it's tragic. Yes. I mean, just look at the way that it's affected our children. Caden, high school senior, he's been playing football and basketball since he was 6. Mm-hmm. Goes all through high school playing varsity, and has different people reaching out to him, colleges and different people saying, hey, we want to get you over here to, what are those things called? Scout camps and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden the pandemic happens and the scout camps are closed.
Yeah, his whole
game plan is completely is frozen. Yes. But let's use him as an example. Mm-hmm. He's like, you know what? It does suck. It sucks because I've been doing this for so long, and I thought there was going to be like some kind of reward, mm-hmm. you know, here. But you know what? It's going to be okay. Yep. Life goes on. Yep. A lot of people, kids especially in Caden's circumstance, that's everything to them. So when everything gets taken away, even though it's the one thing, sports, gets mm-hmm. taken away, it feels like everything is taken away. Their foundation is shaken. Yep. And you lose the expectation of anything good. Yeah. It doesn't even seem like it's possible. Yeah. But that's what we wanted to talk about today with you guys here listening to us. Yeah. It's about, honestly, I mean, this word hope it gets overused and misunderstood, I think, frequently, similar to the word love, where, you know, hope is said mm-hmm. frequently, but when you don't
have hope, it's really easy to fall into places of despair, wanting to quit. And that's when all of those things that I was talking about that have raised up during this COVID-19 pandemic, all the depression and hopelessness and all that's a byproduct of hopelessness is what I'm trying to say. When you're not expecting good, you just throw it all away. And what we have to do right now, and this is what we're wanting to encourage you to do. There are two things. Gratitude can really lead you to hope. Because in order to be grateful, you've got to find things that you're grateful for. You have to be very intentional about that. And as Amy said, maybe there are things right now that you're not grateful for. Well, those aren't going to be your source of gratitude. If you focus on those things, they're going to be your source of hopelessness. Mm-hmm. But when you find things, very intentional things, they could be tiny little small things or huge things to be grateful for, now all of a sudden your expectation levels rise. Mm-hmm. There's like an inner transition, an inner transformation that happens through gratitude. It happens through being a grateful person. Mm-hmm. And gratitude, I do believe, is step one to seeing your hope levels rise. Because when you're focusing on the good things that have happened, the blessings that are there, mm-hmm. even when there are things that are happening that you don't like, now all of a sudden you start looking. It's like if you ever gotten a car, maybe a car that you like or something like that, or maybe you bought one, and then everywhere you turn, you seem to see the exact same car that you just bought, and you're like, I didn't even see that beforehand. Mm-hmm. I didn't even notice those kinds of cars, but now I see them everywhere.
Your awareness has increased.
It has. It's because of what you fixate on, that's what you begin to see. Mm-hmm. And so for each of us, when we start to fixate our attention on things that we're very grateful for, now all of a sudden we start looking around and seeing a lot more things to be grateful for. And it increases our expectation that good is in our future. When you look at the idea of the holiday seasons, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, all of these seasons that happen in more of like the winter time, what you see as a common thread is they're supposed to raise our hope levels. And if you really look at the celebration of Christmas in and of itself, that celebration is intended to be about hope, specifically the hope of the world found in what we sing about when we sing the song Silent Night, Holy Night. All is calm, all is bright. We've got this whole season that is wrapped around the idea that this Savior or this Messiah came to this earth to rescue us from dark and perilous times.
Peril.
It's like during like the heat of the moment in the horror movie, like
gotcha.
A peril is taking place. Mm-hmm. So when times are perilous, we need hope. And what we have an opportunity to do right now in this season is to begin to place our hope in something way greater than any other thing. Greater than a pandemic, greater than government structures, greater than money, greater than health. Mm-hmm. It's hope that comes through understanding that there really is a creator. He's good and he does care. And we do go through hard seasons, but those hard seasons are all supposed to push us toward our knees. And then on our knees, we find hope. Mm-hmm. In humility, we find hope.
Right.
When things aren't easy, we can find hope.
Yeah, when decisions are made and they're out of our hands, we can find hope.
Yes. And it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. It makes me think of the scripture in Psalms. And every time I read this, I actually cry because I actually don't know why I cry. But it hits me like at my core. And I want to read it. It's Psalm 121. It says, I lift my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? And we can substitute help right there with hope. Like,
can.
My hope comes from the Lord, the maker of the heavens and the earth. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, he who watches over Israel will neither sleep nor slumber. The Lord watches over you. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and your going, both now and forevermore. It's like a promise, a generational promise that is like passed down and passed down and passed down. And even though it was written thousands of years ago, it still has life in that. When you read those words, when I read those words, I find peace and comfort in that because, yeah, it's not saying everything's going to go your way and you're going to get the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. But it's saying, where is your help coming from? And this idea that it's like coming from something much greater and much higher than myself. I can, when we went to counseling one time, I liked how the therapist said, you have to live your life with your palms open. If you live your life with your palms closed, your palms clenched, how are you ever going to receive a good gift? Yeah, you might get hurt. Your hand might get slapped with it being open. Someone might give you something you don't want. But the opportunity that is being allowed by living with your hands, with your palms open versus clenched where you can never grab anything, there's hope in that.
Right.
There's hope that a good gift is coming your way. There's hope that love is still on its way to you, even though you might not feel it at the moment.
Right.
And I just want to say that coming out of some pretty dark personal places the last couple months with the health stuff that I've been having to walk through and not thinking that I would ever have to walk through this at 38 years old has been overwhelming. But there's the only part of that I find peace is really found in this scripture. Is my help and my hope isn't going to come from me mustering up some kind of hype. It's not going to come from you telling me you can do it, just push harder, or, there's nothing that the human nature can just birth, support, make happen, and then continually, what's the word? It's like continue feeding it energy that it's going to last forever. That is a total joke.
Right.
It's a complete lie. It's never going to happen. We can't muster that kind of stuff up ourselves.
It requires connection.
Mm-hmm.
It requires, when you look to a government structure for your help, mm-hmm. that doesn't last. Right. If you look to money as your end all, that does not last. But when your help and your hope is the founder, the creator of all things, now you have something that lasts.
Mm-hmm. And something that can be passed down, and something that your kids watch you do even without you sitting down and giving them some kind of lecture.
Right.
They're like, oh, gosh, dang. We remember how mom and dad responded when they were told that their business had to be closed. Mm-hmm. Who's going to pay the bills? I mean, that's the reality.
Right.
The state's not paying our bills.
Right.
So you and I get faced with figuring out how to pay bills without being allowed to actually make the correct amount of money coming in to cover those bills. But the kids get to watch.
Mm-hmm. How we handle it.
They get to watch how we posture ourselves. They mm-hmm. get to watch us believe that our Creator hasn't got us this far to turn around and shut the door and leave us abandoned.
Right. Yeah. Challenging times show up in our lives. And in those times, we've got to take the stand for what it is that matters most. And we've got to dig in deep. We got to muster up the faith and the hope and the trust. And we've got to lean in to a source of strength that is far greater than anything this world could provide. Mm. We can overcome any circumstance, any situation, any opposition, as long as we stay near and close to the actual source of hope. He can lead us to where we need to be. So here's really what we're trying to get across to you today. Number one, be grateful no matter what's going on, no matter what it looks like. Number two, do not let hope disappear. That means expect that good is in your future, even when sometimes things look different than you thought. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really where we are today. You know, hope comes from a greater source. Nothing on this earth that was created can be our ultimate source of hope. And so we got to place our trust in a higher source.
That's right. That's doable.
We believe that if you are moving forward and you're seeking to find your call and make your life count, your life will not be miserable. You'll be able to move to places of joy. And we have officially actually completed the writing of Wayfinder. It's in its last edits. Oh my goodness. That's pretty awesome. And we're excited to get it into your hands. So be paying attention for the actual release of that book. You can still go to nealandamie.com, click on the pre-sale. If you want to make a purchase of that now, you can, and you're going to end up with the audio of that recording, audio of the book free because you bought the book pre-sale. So that is an opportunity for you. Anything else to add to this particular podcast?
Well, we don't have Eric with us, and he usually says, comment, share.
Comment, subscribe.
Subscribe.
I think he says that, which is awesome.
So if you can share this with your friends, that would be great. Get the word out there. We love you. We will be standing with you in whatever issues of life that you find yourself in. Know that we are thinking and praying for anyone who is hungry and ready to live their best life, walk down the road with a little jingle in their step.
Not jingle balls, jingle bells.
Yeah. And handing out candy canes of love, singing in the rain.
Dang.
What other things?
That's it. That's all I'm doing.
All right. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.